Hi, Jeff Simon here for SocialFlight, and today I'm working on the forward baggage compartment door here on our Titan T-51D Mustang. Just to show you kind of where I am on the aircraft, over here right off camera, this is the actual firewall of the aircraft. So this is the nose. We're on the left-hand side of the forward nose, and it's time to get this door going. So you may have seen from previous videos a while ago, we actually did the inside of the baggage compartment area, and then we also worked on these skins, getting them fitted and cut, etc. But that didn't have the doors done. In order to actually put on those access panels and doors through the side skins of the aircraft, we took those skins in an earlier video, went over to our friends at Fabco Manufacturing in Hudson, Massachusetts, and used their laser cutting machine. They have an industrial large laser cutting machine that we could actually put an entire skin on and then just have the access panels cut right into that. One of the benefits of using a laser for that is that we wound up with not just the opening, but we actually wind up in the same cut with the actual door, the finished door, all in one cut. You're about 5/1000ths of an inch in what that laser cuts, and it actually just goes around, does the perimeter, and then can actually do things like cut the holes for the latches, make notches in the bottom, which you can just barely see here, for the hinge, all the stiffening, starter holes, etc. In fact, it is so accurate and the laser cut is so thin that you still have to go in later and kind of sand it and give some gap. Otherwise, the paint thickness in itself would make it so that you can't close the door. So we have our door ready to fit on, we have the opening, but we still have a lot more work to do to get this thing finished. So let's talk now about actual hinges. Anytime that you're doing something like this, any type of access panel, chances are you're going to be using something called a piano hinge. And the most common type of piano hinge is this kind right here. I'll let you see that. And this actually is MS20257, and then there's a dash number which has to do with the size of the hinge. Now, the way that these hinges are manufactured is they're made from two identical halves that are made from flat aluminum that is then rolled. Let me get close to the camera here and let you see that that actual side is rolled around where the pin actually goes through. Now, the advantage of using this rolled hinge is that you can actually get the aluminum sheets on both sides very tight up against where the hinge point is. And that's because when you roll the aluminum around, you actually have this undercut notch area that the sheet of aluminum can tuck right up and against. So that makes for a tight joint that way. The downside of the rolled hinge is that it tends to have a fair amount of play in it. So it kind of plays a little bit this way, and if you use it in a vertical setting with a door that opens sideways, you can get a little bit of sag out of the door, and then as you go to close it, you have to kind of fit it into place sometimes. So really not the best tolerances. So there's another option as well, and that is a piano hinge that's actually made of two extruded aluminum pieces. This is MS2001 hinge, and each of the halves of this hinge are formed together, as I said, extruded aluminum. What that means, and I'll get close on this one, let you see that, is that you can actually see it's like a teardrop shape to each of these halves. It comes in here and it's molded like that when it's manufactured. So the advantage when you do that is it is a much tighter joint. The tolerances are much better. But there's a disadvantage also, and that is because both halves, as they approach the actual hinge point, have that teardrop shape, you actually have, it's not as easy to get the aluminum tight up against it. The closer that you get with the aluminum skins to the center point of the hinge, the more they have to kind of curve up as the teardrop actually forms. So at the end of the day, if you're doing this again in a vertical setting, it might be worth it. In a horizontal setting like this, it may or may not. So I'm going to actually first try to fit this in using the extruded hinge. If I can get that to fit and to look good, that'll be great. I'll have a little higher quality hinge in place. But if not, if it's kind of throwing off things and not letting it come up close enough, it's really not too much of a problem, because sag and play in a hinge in this orientation doesn't matter too much, because there isn't a lot of twisting that's going to happen. It's going to come up, and actually any pressure is going to be just down. So we'll get to work, we'll try that, and we'll see how it all fits. All right, now it's time to figure out how we're going to mount the latches, and actually the mount points are already on the door, but the receiving points where the latches actually attach, they are not done. So I've got to figure out how to cut holes that make the little receiver work for the latch. Now these latches are so cool. I got these basically off of eBay, and they are extremely high quality latches. They're Hartwell latches that normally go for hundreds of dollars a piece, but I was able to get a bunch of them for the airplane for very little money, and that's why it just pays to keep looking around sources like that and find cool things for your experimental aircraft, even though these are certified latches. So on these, they, as you can see, they have a weather stripping protected latch in the front. You push the button here and it releases, open like that, and that's the latch. That's the actual mechanism that actually closes. Heavy duty, very spring loaded, boom, closes like that, and that's how our doors are going to work. So now I've got to figure out how to get it mounted. So the way that I'm going to do this now that I have the latches in place, basically I can see where it's hitting on the inside, and that's going to become the slot that I need to push into. But there's no easy way to get the camera in here to show you. I'm going to have to stick my head in the other side, go from underneath, and mark with a pen where I need to cut that slot. All right, the next thing I need to do, now that I've marked where those go, is to figure out what the depth is. So there's a grip area on this, and I'm going to use this digital caliper to figure out what grip I actually need. So I should be able to cut what I think is going to be the right hole area, and then I can just kind of essentially remove material a little bit at a time until it grips just right. Now, I actually think the best way of doing this is for me to go in and actually cut a circular hole and then file out the corners, because otherwise it's going to be really difficult in this area to somehow just get a square hole from the beginning. All right, so the hinge and the latches now work. I can put the door up, click the latches into place, nice and secure, pop them open, and bring it down. One more step though that has to be done, and that is we need to stiffen this. This thing can move. This door is very flimsy at this point. Want to make it a lot stronger. And so there are two pieces that come from Titan that are on the inside here that support it. And we got a couple extras from them. And these are the aft and forward mounting angles that are actually formed to the exact curve. Not sure if you can actually see the curve there, but this is curved, and that's the same curve we have to match. And it's actually different at the front with the firewall, which is more round, than at the aft side where it gets progressively flatter as it goes aft on the fuselage. And so we've got different pieces. We're going to cut those to fit. That will give the door some support here, and we'll just put a simple angle across the top. Boom, we'll be all set, ready to go. All right, let's get to work on that. All right, now the easiest way to mount something blind where you're going to be drilling through is actually to mark a center line down the flange and then look through the pilot holes, your starter holes that I've got here, towards that. That'll align it, and then I can just drill right through. So that's how I'm going to get these brackets mounted. It's really strong. Very, very cool. Now the last part we have to do is just the strip across the top, just a basic angle. All right, that's it for now. I can't glue and do the final riveting on this because actually where the hinge attaches, that would actually go through the skin and then into the substructure here of the baggage compartment, and I'm not ready to do a final installation on this skin yet. But everything is in place and it is solid. It is so cool to see this. It just goes up, solid as can be, two latches go down, and it is in place. I just love making progress on these things. Until next time, I'm Jeff Simon for SocialFlight. Be sure to check out SocialFlight.com and the free SocialFlight mobile apps. We have tens of thousands of aviation events and destinations, and of course the Fly to Win challenge where you can win prizes just for flying using your phone. It automatically checks you in and gives you points at airports. And you don't need to win with your points, you just need to check in and be entered in the contest. Until next time, I wish you all blue skies